So I'm out here setting this clash up. So this is Sammy's bike, and hasn't been feeling the love on it. Hasn't been going fast on it, and just been doing an interpretive tune, which is kind of limited. Excuse me. So now that he's away, I've taken the bike so I can ride it myself and see exactly what's going on, and alter that rear shock to get more compliance, more efficiency, the right ride height, and get this fork working. So Zeb Ultimate, standard spring. I've got 2 tokens in it. I've done the car park back and forth. The spring of the fork feels like it's probably going to be choppy. The rear, we started at 2 tokens, 2 bands. I've gone back and forth in the car park. Took all the bands out and took all the tokens out, and with all the bands out, with that large, super large negative chamber, it feels like there's too much beginning and mid-stroke support for how much end stroke there is. So you add tokens and drop the pressure, and you can kind of alter it, but it's still too much mid-stroke support, so you got to run it too low in the sag with tokens to get efficiency and compliance, or to get compliance. So I've gone to 1 token, 1 band. So 1 token, no bands, still again felt too tall. So putting the 1 band in it took the edge off the mid-stroke. So I softened that up a little bit, so it's a little bit more of a hammock instead of like a flat and then down. So we'll see how that goes. I'm on 5 clicks of compression on the shock, 4 clicks, sorry. I'm on 6 clicks of low speed and 1 click of high speed on the fork. I'll see how it feels. It feels way better than it did when I picked it up off him already. It feels better than the 2 tokens, 2 bands, but I think we're going to end up with 2 bands, 1 token to find this sweet spot. But let's see how it feels. So the back's certainly giving me some feedback, and I reckon that clutch is off actually. Yeah, it is. Oh no, it's a GX. Yeah, the GX clutch is just slapping and clapping. And I'm a little low in the pedals, I think. I feel like I'm low in the pedals, so I'd want to go higher. So more pressure. Bring that ride height up. I'm right on 30%, 29 probably. So to bring the ride height up, to add pressure would add chop. So I'm going to have to, I still feel like it's, yeah, mid-stroke support, or that large negative chamber, mid-stroke support is giving me a feeling of just non-compliance off the top. So I'm going to add another band, which will make the positive seem like it's bigger. Like instead of taking a token out, I'll add a band to take the chop off the middle instead of taking the chop off the end. And we'll soften it up. Just drop it in there, or maybe I can just soften it up, drop it in the sag a bit. There's so many options. Doesn't pedal terribly, like I'm climbing out of that hole fairly good. Way better than it was. It was a super slug before. But again, I'm feeling all of the undulations under my feet. Fork could be worse, for sure. Not terrible. It's given me the ability to kind of point and shoot. But yeah, we just got to soften this back end up. So we'll definitely add a band to take the edge off of the small bumps. And we'll drop the pressure a bit. See if we can get it. No, sorry. I'm not talking about drop the pressure. I want it a little higher in the sag at the back, a little taller. So I want to add some pressure, but get rid of the chop. So I'm gonna. Yeah, see, it isn't bad. It's certainly not terrible, but it has the potential to be better. So we'll see what it feels like next lap. I must be close with that ride height. Must be close. I can tip it in fairly well, so I'm not getting bashed. Oh, not getting bashed too hard, but it's pushed around at the back. I can still kind of hold it and plant it, which is partially a 27.5 wheel versus a 29er that I'm used to. Let's have a look at travel used. So right down the bottom on the rear, so that's good. And not a lot at the front. So I could button off the pressure a touch on the front and go faster on the rebound for sure. And that rear end, yeah, I'm just going to add a band. I'm not going to touch the tokens. I'm going to add a band and go to the same sag that we're, or a little bit less sag than we're running now. So it might be 28% sag. And this thing might be a ninja. You're gonna love this thing, Sammy. It's way better than when you gave it to me. I consider when you're changing your tune over in your shock, so tokens or bands for instance, I've just gone one more band. So aiming for 29-30% sag. You can see there, we're probably 29 there, you can barely see the 30. So that's probably 29% sag. At 29% sag before, and using adequate travel, it was 170 psi with the one band in there. Now with two bands at 165 psi, it feels as strong, if not a little stronger. So, but it feels nice off the top. So we're going to head up, see how that feels, and so again, so just something to consider. You don't just go, oh, I'm going to take a band out and go the exact same pressure because I want the same sag. The pressure will be different because of the size ratios of the chambers have changed. So yeah, so I've got two bands now, still one token, 165 psi, 29% sag. It feels good. The ride height feels good. It was a little more compliant on the climb, probably a little quicker too. I'd say it was 17 minutes 20, 17 minutes 10, something like that. On lap climb left on Strava, good time 69. Fork, we've gone one less token and one more psi, so I've gone to 70 and back to one token. Oop. So let's see how this one feels. Certainly feels more calm and controlled. Ride height's probably okay, maybe still a touch low. Yeah, it's still just a touch low at the back, so I can probably drop the last token out and add some pressure. Oh, it's certainly better. Fork's definitely better too. Still just maybe, yeah, maybe just a little low in the back. But it's giving me more compliance and I'm shooting across things a bit better too, which is nice. Still getting out of the hole well. Just a little choppy still. I think the fork with 2 tokens is better, just because I don't have to run such a firm off the top pressure in this C1 spring. Yeah, but that felt not too bad. Pretty well, very close to bottom out on the rear, which I'd expect. I wouldn't have expected to feel the bottom, but which I didn't, but we're very close. I'd just like to take a bit of sting out of this fork. Maybe we'll go back to 2 tokens, add a little bit less pressure. But like I said, it kills the small bump compliance a little bit. Trying to work out whether my front's high or low. I think it's good. Whoa. Maybe a little higher. A little high and not super compliant, so maybe I could take a little more pressure out and add a click of high-speed compression on that fork and leave the token config as it is. We'll check Strava, see how that went, but that's definitely a better setup than it was. So that was the 3rd lap. Climb was pretty much the same time, 17:13. But when I got to the top, I realised that the shock had lost some pressure, so I'm not sure what happened there, and I equalised it pretty vigilantly and whatnot. Everything's sealed up, everything's tight and nipped. So I'm thinking maybe there's a pinch seal on this Megneg, or maybe the valve core is leaking. So I'm going to take it home, dump it underwater, pump it up, dump it underwater, and see if there's any bubbles coming through. See if we can isolate where that air's coming out of. But that felt good. The fork felt better with the 2 tokens. Oh, yeah, 20%. It's right on 20% sag now, which is where you want it. And 2 tokens felt quite good. Used a liberal amount of travel. Still got probably 20 mil in the bank. But yeah, the bike's good. The bike's good with a good setup for sure. That old setup, I can see why he wasn't liking it. It wasn't fast, and it was a little it was quite choppy actually. It was no small bump compliance on the climb, so it made the climb really slow. There's probably at least a minute in the climb just in this setup for sure. And the fork, yeah, I think 2 tokens is the go. 2 to 3 tokens in these Zebs. 2 tokens seems like it gets you where you want to be. Yeah, but all good.